I apologize, first of all, that I know I attacked the food first, but I ended up going to a lot of these, and this is the first one where the food was really good. So, sorry. I try not to be rude. And I apologize, I have a prepared statement here. I kind of have a lot going on, and so I want to make sure I cover at least a few coherent things, and that's what this is all about. So, there's a lot going on in the world right now, and I wish I didn't have to get into this, but I think we have to face reality. I think if we do, we might be able to actually alter the course of history starting now. I'm going to borrow some words from a friend of John Kennedy's, and I'll let you guys decide what this applies to. These words were spoken to the UN General Assembly 60 years ago. And while I think we'd add a few things to it today, the truth remains the same. Until the philosophy that holds one race superior and another inferior is finally and permanently discredited and abandoned, that until there are no longer first-class and second-class citizens of any nation, that until the color of a man's skin is of no more significance than the color of his eyes, that until the basic human rights are equally guaranteed to all without regard to race, that until that day, the dream of lasting peace, world citizenship, and international morality will remain but a fleeting illusion to be pursued, but never attained. And those words were spoken in 1963 by Haile Selassie, the Emperor of Ethiopia. He had a lot going on. Locally, nationally, and internationally, that's no less true today. We've come a long way since then, but we also haven't moved an inch. We still have first-class and second-class citizens. I'm going to admit something to you guys. I don't really care about identities. I don't see identities when I deal with people. I don't let myself see them because identities have a way of prejudicing our judgments of behaviors. Do you guys know what I see? I see people. And I ask myself, what are these people doing? I see a world where there's no us and them. There's only us here. We're all different, but we're all exactly the same. The human condition is inescapable for human beings. Why have we chosen the worst roads to go down? What does anyone stand to gain from this? This is not the blind leading the blind. This is the greedy misleading the ignorant. So, does anybody in this room like war? I don't either. Tough one here. But let's say that your neighbor knows someone who's done something horrible, a true atrocity. Does that mean that your house should be blown up? No, it doesn't. All right, enough of that. It's good to be here at the Lauren Boebert Fan Club. You guys ready for 2 more years? Me either. Back in July of this year, I was hanging out and I was asking not what my country could do for me, but what I could do for my country. When I realized that we need somebody to actually represent us, not industries, not donors, and not money and those who already have it. We have a system where normal people, who are the majority of people, are the lowest priority of something that was meant to represent the majority. We're here in Monte Vista, where in 2020, we had a median income of just over $19,000 a year. Anybody ever hear a politician say they're going to bring in good jobs? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great, and I've heard that in every election cycle that I can remember. Some of you guys probably remember more election cycles than I do. I still can't get over the fact that Half the people, by definition, make less than the median income when it is that low. The people aren't going away, and neither are those jobs. Are we going to leave these people further behind? We are running out of rug to sweep people under, and the rug we're sweeping people under is getting really lumpy here. Everybody wants to blame something aside from greed for the expansion of our homeless population. Well, newsflash, a lot of our homeless ended up on the street while working a full-time job. A lot of our addicts, most of our addicts, got hooked on something that they got at the doctor's office. Houses aren't worth any more than they used to be, but landlords and sellers sure are asking more. Am I the only person here, I might be, who is offended by the term workforce housing? That one bugs me. Who are the real houses for? I think it's time we start talking about a real federal living wage. Now, I've heard some objections already, so let me finish the idea. Any living wage, whether state or federal, needs to be tied to the consumer price index. If prices go up, wages must necessarily follow. And they must at the same rate. We need to establish an acceptable minimum standard of living for a working person. No nation can call itself great when it leaves this many people behind. A gilded age is not a golden age. So a small business might worry a little when they hear about the living wage. But think about this, if you're a small business owner, how much better would your business be doing if every full-time worker could actually afford to use it? We have a lot more wage earners than we do small business owners, but too often when a politician comes through, they like to talk about small business owners, and that's great. But our wage earners don't vote, and that's costing us elections. We're supposed to be the people who stick up for them. In this district, 250,000 people over the age of 18 chose not to vote last year because we didn't have anything to offer them. 546, that's cute, but 250,000, that's a lot more. And we are the people who are supposed to be sticking up for the working people. Now I got another topic for you guys. How does everybody here feel about deregulation? I don't like it. Industry regulations protect us, they protect our money, and they protect our environment. I've never heard a business owner complain about regulations, and I've worked in some heavily regulated industries. I've ran my own business in a heavily regulated industry, and those regulations kept actors out of the job. What I have heard business owners complain about is everyone being too broke to use their establishment. Another thing, guys, so who here thinks that we should take back the money that we've invested in the IRS? I don't. Nothing like another break for wealthy tax cheats, right? These people are spending the government broke into their own pockets. They're asking us to make do less with less, but they have more than anyone ever has. How about we let our tax laws be enforced, let's actually end corporate welfare where we can, and let's stop funding wars that have questionable aims and outcomes. How about we establish a standard of living that has more people paying taxes without raising the rate? How about we stabilize Social Security by having people who are able to afford to pay into it? Now, my student loans are paid off. Maybe I should just assume that everybody had the same opportunities that I did, right? I don't think so. So many of us went to college that a degree is not always worth the paper that it's printed on. Bachelors are a dime a dozen right now. While an education is great for intellectual enrichment, It doesn't always translate into a big paycheck. And we send kids by legions to rack up big bills with the promise that it will. Those prices went up. The price of school went up. The wages did not. So for a lot of people, they went to school to acquire a permanent financial handicap. If we want forgiveness for the deception that we made, perhaps we should forgive those debts. So one of my strongest supporters asked me a funny question a while back. He wanted to know 3 reasons he could tell people to contribute to my campaign. You know what I told him? Reason number 1, there is no reason at all. You should not. Reason number 2, money in politics is disgusting. And reason number 3, voting is free. I am not trying to buy this election. I got just a little bit more to say, but it's telling me to hurry up. So instead, I'm going to leave you with what I got there, and thank you guys for your time.